This was actually a collaboration between the Johns Hopkins School of Public Health and the American Heart Association of Las Vegas. And the idea behind it is that this project is actually funded through the Johnson & Johnson Community Healthcare Program. And Johnson & Johnson funded, I believe, currently 7 community healthcare organizations to partner with graduate students at Johns Hopkins. And each graduate student would be assigned to work with one of these organizations and really help them with data collection, monitoring, and evaluation. So I got assigned to work with the American Heart Association of Las Vegas, and they are trying to implement a school teaching garden. Currently they have it in 3 Title I schools, so these are low-income schools. And we did some data. Well, first of all, we helped them build a database, and we had a set of survey questions for them to ask at the beginning and at the end of the program, just to see, is this program working? And the really helpful part is that now the American Heart Association, as well as the other organizations that my colleagues are working with, have this data, and they can show that their program is effective, and this is really crucial for the sustainability of these organizations. There was the teaching garden component, and there was also an educational component. And the teaching garden was really a tool for the kids to get hands-on experience with seeing how vegetables grow and really get them excited about eating more healthily. Because it's one thing to just didactically tell students, these were 4th and 5th grade students, oh, you should eat healthy foods, here are some examples of healthy food, versus when they are out there in the garden, they're actually very excited about this and more willing to try this. It's not just a school garden. They based this on the socio-ecological model, so they really tried to target a variety of stakeholders. They tried to target the schools, they tried to target parents, so there were also parent workshops that went along with this. We have collected data on that. We haven't yet had a chance to analyze that. But really, you need to target both children and parents, as well as schools. And so now the schools, the school garden was really an impetus for the American Heart Association to work with the schools to try to bring in healthier food. And it's just this whole program of working with various stakeholders. So the key outcomes that we were looking into were measures of healthy knowledge, healthy behavior, and ultimately we want to impact BMI. We didn't see a change in BMI, which is sort of expected because we were looking just over the course of a school year, and it's really hard to expect that kids would lose a lot of weight by the end of a school year. But we did see some improvement in knowledge related to healthy eating. So by the end of the program, more children were able to identify healthy snacks. Additionally, they knew the recommended amount of fruits and vegetables for each day. We also saw an improvement in physical activity behavior. There were actually a number of challenges just getting the schools on board with this. It's a great idea, it's a great program, and it's actually fairly simple to implement. The American Heart Association was able to start a school garden in Las Vegas, in the middle of the desert. However, I think there may be pushback from the administration in terms of, teachers need to teach to standardized tests, Common Core, and that's actually a strength of this program, is the American Heart Association was actually able to make the teaching garden curriculum fit in with the Common Core. And so because of that, the administrators were a lot more willing to try this out. I think that in more urban areas, you have food deserts. And in more rural areas, there potentially it's debatable whether how the food access, or how we think of food access in rural versus urban areas. So in Vegas, we definitely selected, these schools were located in food deserts, and a lot of the families who go to these schools are also living in food deserts. they had these optional classes that they could attend. They were after school, and it was really a chance for these parents to learn about healthy eating, to learn about ways to cook this food. And we actually had a lot of success reaching out to Hispanic families. So in most of these schools, I think overall, more than or approximately two-thirds of the population was Hispanic. And the American Heart Association had a liaison who really could reach out to these Hispanic families and get the parents involved. We also plan to analyze the parent data to see, is that working and how can we make that component more effective? Because this potentially might indicate that, school gardens, when they're focused on kids, are good at impacting knowledge. But, maybe for behavior, you really do need to focus more on the parent component. So I think we'll know more once we analyze that data. So this is actually part of a 2.5-year grant process for this collaboration. And we're at the 1.5-year mark right now, so we still have one more year. And really, the first half year was what we call the formative phase, where we were working with one school at that point just to pilot this program and work out all the kinks. Then this past year, we've sorted out a lot of issues, and this is sort of like the program in its full form. And then next year, or this current school year, we're collecting data as well. And right now the program is working very well. And it's also good just to have 2 years of data. And then at the end of this school year, the collaboration between Johns Hopkins and the American Heart Association comes to an end. But the American Heart Association actually has been able to get other funders to come in, and there's plans to continue to support these school gardens. And now, they're also planning to continue to monitor and evaluate the effectiveness of these gardens.